Alright, so the date is June 24th, 2017. The channel publishes the Punch-Out! Boundary Break episode. And in that episode, there's a discovery made that was never published on the internet before. See, in the rematch fight with Piston Hondo, he reads a manga in between rounds. And the way that the camera is angled, you barely get a glimpse of what the manga is supposed to look like on the inside pages. And what was in there would cause financial grief for two big companies and afford the jobs of a few people. How do I know this, you might ask? Well, I was reached out by someone who works on the inside. Now, this person wants to remain entirely anonymous for very obvious reasons, but through all the things that were said, as well as the things that I personally discovered, I can 100% verify this person's authority. Now, with that also being said, everything that is going to be mentioned in this video is alleged. This is all from a testimony of another person, and outside of one thing that can be backed up with full evidence, everything mentioned here should be only accepted as hearsay. Also, there's just one other thing I want to mention real quick. I won't be telling you the entire story that I was told, because there are some things that are just a little bit nasty and unpleasant, and I'm not seeking to smear the reputation of any great company out there that provides great games. So in the very late stages of Punch-Out's production, there's various props that need to be made for certain characters. Like, for example, Don Flamenco has his rose, Soda Popinski has the soda pop bottles, and Super Macho Man has the press trying to interview him. Also, by the way, if you pan the camera out here, you can see that they're just a bunch of arms, which I found pretty funny. But the centerpiece of this story revolves around Piston Hondo in his rematch fight when he's reading this manga here. Now, you already read the title of this video, you already know what it is. But in case you haven't seen it before, here is the inside pages of the manga displaying Sailor Moon. In fact, these are scans from real manga pages that you can see right here. It looks like manga panels were all scrambled up and put in different places, but at the end of the day, that is direct artwork that is used from the manga. Now, why is it in here? Well, someone from the team thought it'd be really funny to put it in there. But for the record, this person did not keep this a secret from anybody. This information was shared with many colleagues, as well as the game's art director, who at the time was not happy about the idea at all. But once test footage was shown in-game, the art director as well as the team itself agreed you can't really see anything in the pages, and everyone generally agreed that the images were so down-res that you could barely see it anyway. And once again, because this was so late into the game's production and was so close to being released to the public, rather than put everything on halt and miss the deadline just to remove it, the Sailor Moon manga Easter egg remained, which would then become the catalyst for what was to come next. Shortly after Nintendo had all the assets and Next Level Games was finished on working on Punch-Out, employees that were involved with the Sailor Moon manga were taken aside. These employees were asked specifically about the Sailor Moon imagery. During this time, it felt like a much safer space. There was jokes involved. There was mention about being fired, but it was in the format of a joke. Every employee that was involved with the Sailor Moon manga noted the fact that the art director approved of all of this. But here was the problem. At that point, the art director had been let go already. So a couple hours later, the GM gets involved. And at this point, things start to get very serious. He had let all involved parties know that Next Level Games is in breach of contract with Nintendo. And at the time, staff members were told that the North American version was being pulled from production until the artwork was changed. This catastrophic fix did not come free, as Next Level Games had to settle with Nintendo with the tune of $1 to $2 million. And information was also shared amongst the company that Nintendo proactively reached out to Bandai to let them know what happened. Again, word amongst the company was that they actually paid them to license Sailor Moon in the game. So for the record, Nintendo was on top of this well before the general public got to find out about it. And I'm sure that a lot of you imagine the fact that if Nintendo knew about this so far ahead of time, wouldn't they have changed it? Well, like I said, so much of this happened while at the very tail end of the US production of Punch-Out! However, in future revisions of the game, as well as the first release of the Japanese version of the game, taking the camera outside of its boundaries will show you the proof is in the pudding. Yeah, I mean, I guess all this can just amount to a cautionary tale to future game developers out there. Something that might seem so innocent and carefree to you at the time may have catastrophic consequences, one that can cost a company millions of dollars and potentially ruin your career. The only silver lining that I can find in all of this is that it makes for one heck of a story, one that could be told for years to come. That's about it, though. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and be safe out there.